Defend WBAI! Stop the union busting! Stop the union busting! Stop the union busting!
Joy Moore. I'm here because KPFA is a locally diverse community station that belongs to me. I work here, I volunteer here, I give donations here, I've been on the board here, I was an apprentice here, and the community radio station belongs to the community, and I'm a member of the community. And I'm concerned that they're not giving the same respect and consideration for our sister station, WBAI.
And what's happened to WBAI from your understanding?
My understanding is that we are in the tailspin of the troubles of 1999 when there was an attempt to take over our mission and our network. In Pacifica, there were some people in Pacifica who to this day want to lighten the impact or change the impact or what can I say, subvert the mission of KPFA. KPFA is a free speech radio station started as a protest against war and trying to create peace through community building, and that's what we've been doing, and we need to continue to do that. And we need all 5 stations. This gives us breadth across the nation, from New York to LA. And without that, we're just a local radio station, which is still great, but we need the network power. We need to be able to influence the country. And I need that voice in New York, and I'm from New York. And the irony of this, I was 17 when I left New York. I didn't know anything about WBAI. I had to come to Berkeley, California during 1969 during the war protests to learn that my mom told me, listen to KPFA, because they said where the National Guard was, where the next action was going to be, and my mom wanted me to stay away. So that's how I became involved with KPFA in 1969, and I learned about WBAI. And so to me, we're family, and we need to be there to do what our original mission was, to create peace through community. Union bust has been going on. We've been infiltrated by the government and government agents from the very beginning. You know this. Our voice is important. You know, giving voice to the voiceless, having people protest war in particular, and war is associated with everything now. If you just think about it, if we try to create peace in our community, we would not have the ability to. My tax dollars would not be used to kill Yemen people. For what? For oil, which we've been fighting over since the beginning. Everybody will say, oh, we want to save the people, we want to give them democracy, and they need freedom. No, they want the oil. That's what it's always been about.
And that's why Pacifica is under attack?
Exactly. Pacifica is under attack because of those voices, that language. Those voices are being heard through these networks, these radio stations, this network. People like us standing out here right now are saying, this is wrong, we should not do this, and I'm going to stand up and say that. And that's why I program here. This is why I train young people and old other people. Our apprenticeship program is for everyone, 18 and above. We've been doing it for 35 years. We bring people in from the community who don't have a voice. We train them on radio. We send them all over the world, and they do the same thing. Voice their opinions. Peace and community is the value that we attribute to, not war, not domination, not exploitation, and certainly not oil. We need to get off of oil. We need to get off of fossil fuel. And I think that's the biggest threat that we possess, opposed to the powers that be. Hands off WBAI.
My name is Marilyn Langlois, a longtime listener supporter of KPFA and Pacifica. I live in Richmond, and I'm a current candidate for the KPFA local station board. I'm utterly shocked and dismayed by these recent developments. The reason I'm getting involved with this election campaign is because I truly believe in community-supported radio and all that it stands for as an alternative to the mainstream corporate-controlled, both for-profit and non-profit media that's out there. This attempt to sneak in with no advance warning, we know it was plotted well in advance, and simply from in the darkness of night shut down one of our sister stations, WBAI in New York, is the complete antithesis to everything that Pacifica has stood for over 60 years. And it's shameful, and the listeners need to watch out and pay attention and stand up and say, no, we will not accept this. I know the folks at WBAI are fighting it, and we here in Berkeley need to support them and demand that Pacifica cease these illegal and unethical tactics that fly in the face of everything we've fought for over the years. We need to have WBA back and running in the hands of the listeners there and their representatives. Any kind of issues that come up, fiscal or otherwise, in Pacifica will need to be discussed openly with lots of different alternative solutions put on the table and discussed. But to come in the middle of the night and to kick out the staff, we've heard that they ripped out the broadcasting equipment, so property destruction here. They've stolen the computers. They've ignored all of the union rules. This is a complete anti-labor effort, and I, who am part of the Rescue Pacifica slate, and my fellow candidates on Rescue Pacifica completely condemn and denounce this action and demand that WBAI be made whole again as part of our Pacifica network.
And they're also trying to remove Tom Voorhees. What's that all about?
That's right. One of my fellow candidates, Tom Voorhees, is currently on the KPFA local station board, and he is one of the 4 representatives that KPFA has on the Pacifica National Board. And there has been a very underhanded effort to try to remove him from being one of our representatives on the Pacifica National Board. And again, we must denounce this and not let the other representatives who are acting very unethically about this get away with it.
And there was no vote of the Pacifica Board to shut down, shutter, try to destroy WBAI, turn it into a repeater station. Have you heard about Pacifica Across America, this new enterprise that has been set up?
I've never heard of it. The first I saw it was in the press release that what I consider to be a fraudulent board and fraudulent action they put out, and they mentioned that the person who happens to be the station manager at KPFA allegedly now represents some hitherto unknown entity called Pacifica Across America. We have no idea what this is all about. There's been no discussion of this, zero transparency. This is an absolute insult and an affront to all of us in the community who are struggling to promote community-supported radio in order to support our agenda of actually ending wars and creating society that works for all people and lifting up the most vulnerable in our community and ending poverty.
I'm Christine Pepin. I'm also one of the candidates for the local station board, listener candidate in these upcoming elections, along with Marilyn. And I'm also deeply concerned about what is going on at WBAI across all Pacifica, actually. And we're here to protest this illegal takeover from a minority. And this station and WBAI and the entire Pacifica network belongs to the community. It belongs to us. I love KPFA. I'm an avid KPFA listener. I think we should have more community-based program. Actually, community is what is the foundation of the Pacifica network, so it shouldn't be hijacked like it was actually 2 days ago and even in 1999. So we're here to protest against that and to uphold the values of democracy and transparency that we're. Oh, regarding WBAI.
I'm putting a statement up now, the financial director.
Okay, so I should read. Okay, let me read the statement and then we can go. Okay, so the Rescue Pacifica candidates vigorously condemned the shutdown of KPFA's sister station WBAI in New York City. On October 7th, there was an attempt by Pacifica's interim executive director to close the station and terminate all WBAI staff. The surprise attack took place in the middle of WBAI's fall fund drive, as well as the voting period for the local station board elections. It is completely at odds with what democratic, transparent, and responsible governance should look like, and contrary to Pacifica's original grassroots mission. Fortunately, a New York judge issued a stay to prevent IED Jorn Bernal from dismissing WBAI workers and interfering with the station's operations, pending a hearing to be held on October 18th. For longtime KPFA supporters, the attack on WBAI should bring back unhappy memories of the 1999 takeover attempt at KPFA. The cast of characters is different this time, but the objective appears to be the same: to replace local community-based hosts with shows piped in from elsewhere, and perhaps to eventually sell the station's valuable broadcast frequency. The attack on WBAI is the latest in a series of recent undemocratic actions to happen recently at the network. A group calling itself Restructure Pacifica has been circulating a petition to replace the present bylaws with a system that would eliminate listener-elected local station boards. There is also an attempt underway to remove KPFA board member Tom Voorhees from the Pacifica National Board, despite Tom's unmatched knowledge of radio. So the Rescue Pacifica candidates, like Marilyn and I, for the KPFA local station board, believe that KPFA and its sister stations should uphold the values of democracy, transparency, and community-based decision-making. We oppose undemocratic power grabs, including the attempt to close WBAI.
And are you surprised by this action in the middle of a fund drive without a vote of the National Pacifica Board that they would take this kind of action?
I was extremely surprised. I mean, it's outrageous that it happens in the middle of a fund drive, in the voting, during the voting period, and without any vote that happened at the level of on the board. It seems to be a unilateral, decision that took place, which is totally undemocratic and illegal as well. So.
And at this time in this country's history, the kind of crisis that we face, the need to have local community programming seems to be very important.
It is needed more now than ever. We need to hear rebellious voices, things that we don't hear on whitewashed, media. So we need that voice more than ever. We need to be informed, and as members of this community, members of the world, we need to know what's going on in other parts of the world that are not covered in regular media.
And the Bay Area has a lot of stuff going on. Do you think there should be more local community coverage of the Bay Area on KPFA?
Yes, much more so, and I think it should extend throughout the Bay Area, actually, not only Berkeley and Oakland, but for instance, I'm from Sunnyvale. I would like to hear stories from San Jose a little bit more on KPFA. I would like to hear stories from Fresno, Madera, and things like this. So I think we should be covering really a lot of the rest of the Bay besides Berkeley and Oakland as well.
Defend community radio! Defend community radio!
My name is Steve Zeltzer. I'm a member of the KPFA local station board representing the staff. I'm also a programmer at KPFA, and we're here today to make clear that we're opposed to the shutdown, the closure of WBAI in New York. This shutdown, which took place on Monday, October the 7th, was done unilaterally by a faction of the Pacifica Board. There was no vote of the Pacifica Board to close the station and terminate illegally all the staff, including the union members. AFTRA-SAG has issued a complaint saying that they have to get 4 weeks' notice. That wasn't done. History of Pacifica is that you follow the union contract. You should fight to protect the workers there. At least give notice, and this was not done by the management. Really, the new interim executive director, who nobody has met here that I know about on the local station board, and we haven't had a report at the local station board from him. He's been here 2 months, and he has also not been met with the people at WBAI. So you'd think that an interim executive director would meet with the people in the station, with the local station board, and consult with them, talk to them. No. Is this guy a hitman that's been hired to destroy KPFA? Also, a new entity called Pacifica Across America has been set up. There's been no vote to set this up by the Pacifica Board. All of a sudden it pops up on the website. They take down the WBAI website and they put up Pacifica Across America. Who is Pacifica Across America? It's piped-in programming determined by the consultant of Pacifica Across America. Quincy McCoy, who's the manager here, has now got a a new position as a consultant to Pacifica across America. So now apparently he's doing the programming for WBAI and eliminating all the local community programmers. This is a threat to free speech radio. It's a threat to local programmers, not just in WBAI, but also at KPFA. And programs have been terminated here at KPFA unilaterally, twitwit, many programs without any discussion, without any process. So we're here today to defend WBAI, to say that we opposed to the shutdown. They went into the studio there, they ripped out the equipment. They really should be charged with malfeasance. They did it illegally. There's no vote of the Pacifica Board. Who did this? Were they ordered to rip out cords and steal the computers at this office? This thing has been planning for a long time, and people say they want to turn it into a repeater station. No. Actually, the other thing is that the support for WBAI has been growing in New York. The Nielsen ratings, their ratings have gone up. They're increasing money. Why would you do something like this in the middle of a fund drive? They're having a fund drive at KPFA. I hope people support KPFA and Pacifica, but to actually shut down a station, shutter a station in the middle of a fund drive, and shut down the website, shut down the activism that's going on in New York to support this is wrong, and that's why we're here today. We want to defend community radio. Right now in this country, we need more voices. We need more community radio. We need to get out in the streets to get the response of people. That's critical, and the action, the unilateral action to do what they did in WBAI is a threat to all of us. There are many programmers there. They've been programming 24 hours a day. They have all kinds of programs that's available no place else in New York. So they're saying to the people of New York, you're not entitled to these voices at WBAI. That's an outrage. People are entitled to hear the voices that they don't hear on commercial radio, not just piped in Tom Hartman and other programs, national programs, which already are on many elements. So the local programmers are being retaliated against, and we think that this has to stop. We want an explanation of why this was done, who did this, under what authority, and why there wasn't a vote of the Pacifica Board to do this. It was done by a faction of the Pacifica Board. The people on the Pacifica Board from New York were not consulted, no discussion, no information, and that is it's really a violation of democratic process, democratic norms, and it's kind of like a takeover, which it is. And so we have some other speakers here. One of the another board, local station board member is Daniel Bornstrom.
Just want to say I've been out of town. I was over in Mammoth Lakes and just got back, and with a whole pile of backlog of email, and then suddenly I looked at the list. Yes, it was October 7th in the morning, and they'd taken over the station in New York, and I was just surprised by this. And of course, the Safe KPFA bunch, we're familiar with them. I've been an observer of this board for about, attending meetings for about 15 years, so I'm not exactly surprised by this. I mean, it's totally in character of what they do. Our station master, as the general manager, Quincy McCoy, he came to the first, to a meeting, and I had just gotten on the board. I ran for the board this year and got on the board, and here he comes in telling us, talking to us like like a first sergeant, talking at a bunch of boot level MCRD recruits at Paris Island, telling us to listen, talking to us, that we are there to do his bidding. That's how he talked to the board. Now, I looked up the bylaws, and the story is that actually the idea is we're supposed to work together with him, and in fact we write fitness reports of him. We have a say in the hiring and firing of the general manager. In short, he is our employee, and here he is taken over and he's giving us the orders. Now, I want to say one other thing. Last fall, about a year ago, I think it was last August, he laid off, he erased Guns and Butter. Guns and Butter is a controversial program. But the point is that he did it without any consultation, without any process, And now I'm told that there was a process. Well, yeah. And I said in the board meeting, well, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard what that process is. I'm a board member. I should know. It should be available to me. And all I've seen is something in a very short paragraph. After that, there were several others that were taken down, including Twit-Twit Radio, Counterspin, Discreet Music. And we've been wondering, well, kind of fearing and wondering, okay, who's next? Well, it turns out that it went for big game this time. They went clear across the continent, all the way to New York, and shut down WBAI. I mean, at least they're not thinking in small terms.
Well, we've had a deficit, but actually $4 million is not a lot of money. We're talking about a national network. If we were covering live events like the rally against the Nazis here, like the climate march live, and partnering with these organizations that are out in the streets, we would be getting hundreds of thousands of new listeners. Young people want an alternative. And KPFA, there used to be youth radio here. It was removed unilaterally by the management. There no more youth radio here at KPFA. How do we expect to survive when young people are not really here at KPFA? Where are the young people who are on the streets? Well, apparently they don't feel comfortable being at KPFA because this station has a top-down corporate management in which programs are removed without any kind of discussion, without any kind of process. And this is not something that we want to happen here. It's happened in New York, but we are going to organize against it. There's an election. We urge everybody to vote in the election. There's some candidates, including the candidates here who have spoken about Rescue Pacifica and their support for more local programming, their support for a program council. Who makes the decisions about programming? Apparently, the majority of this local station board believe that, in fact, one person should do it, the general manager, and he's the one that makes all the decisions. And not only is now he making the decisions for KPFA unilaterally, but apparently he's been appointed without a vote of the board to be on as a consultant for Pacifica Across America. Now, who is Pacifica Across America? Has that been voted on? Has that been presented at our local station board, this new entity? They've set up a new entity and appointed the manager of this station to be in charge of that new entity, Pacifica Across America, and he's deciding the program in WBAI. Who is this manager who's deciding for the people of New York what they're going to hear on the radio? We think this is a serious issue, and we think that there has to be a democratic process by which the supporters and listeners of Pacifica and the different stations have democratic process. Another action that they're taking and pushing is to change the bylaws. They want a self-appointed board of directors. People to be, so they want to get rid of the local station board. They want to turn the local station board into appointees. And we're saying that we need a democratic right to run. People need to have the right to run with what they would like to see at KPFA, at WBAI. If you have an appointed board, you have, like at KQED, they used to have a labor representative on the board, Walter Johnson. He was removed, and they have now a appointed board. That the managers of corporateers who run KQED also run KQED, and they have no labor representatives. And what we also have to say is this issue of union rights. While KPFA and Pacifica management say that they're in support of union rights, why would they violate the union contract of AFTRA-SAG and not give notice to the employees there? That's a union-busting tactic to just shutter the station. It's something that the corporate marauders or the raiders do. They close down a plant without notice. They don't notify the union and say, you're gone. Well, this is really an outrage to the workers at WBAI, and something that we all have to oppose. Everyone in Pacifica should be opposing this kind of union-busting tactic. It's something that should not be tolerated in Pacifica, and that's why we're here today. We're with our brothers and sisters of WBAI in New York. So, Alex, we're in front of KPFA this morning to protest the takeover, the shutdown of WBAI, turn it into a repeater station, basically. Maybe you can make some comments about your view and what is happening in New York at WBAI.
Yes, I want to thank all the supporters of Pacifica in the Bay Area. I know for a fact that transmitter site, and we will shut down the garbage that's being piped in, and WBAI will be on the air once more. However, we still face a lot of difficulties because in addition to vandalizing our studios and taking away control of the transmitter, they also did things like shut down our bank accounts, shut down our website, cancel our account with our service for the calling into the fund drive. So they made it almost impossible for us to raise any money at this point. They also told our landlord that she should look for a new tenant. Nice of them to do that. They even went so far, by the way, as to vandalize the hallway in the studio where we had some historic photographs, and they took all those down and threw them somewhere. We also had in our broadcast studio the famous 7:30 word that some of you may be acquainted with, that George, thanks to George Carlin, that went to the Supreme Court. Pacifica was involved in that case, and we lost in court, but it was an important historic Supreme Court case. Anyway, they took down the 7:30 words. The people who were behind this were two directors from KPFT, John Verneal, the interim executive director, and an engineer that they brought in from Washington, D.C. Anyway, we're taking measures to not only get back on the air, but restore our ability to raise funds. They did do a lot of damage, however, and from a financial point of view, they have caused tremendous financial damage, not only to WBAI but to Pacifica. We were just in the first week of a fund drive that was going very well and that's when they decided to shut us down.
And also, you're in the middle of an election. You find it rather strange that they would even shut...
An election, that's right. And people are confused. Some people are asking, why should we be voting? Of course, I'm trying to encourage as many people as possible to continue to vote, because what the faction that wants to do is discourage everybody from voting. This is one element of a plan they've had to. Shuttering WBAI is only the first step. The bigger picture is they want to sell the signal. That's absolutely clear, because there is nothing financial to gain by shuttering BAI and piping in broadcasting from other regions that nobody is going to listen to and nobody will take seriously. If they try to do any fundraising, I don't think they're going to make $2 doing it.
And this new entity, Pacifica Across America, which is apparently taken over the website. Who is Pacifica Across America, and was there a vote of the Pacifica Board to hire the manager of KPFA, Quincy McCoy, as the consultant for Pacifica Across America? How did you hear about this?
We heard about it the same way you heard about it, from the press releases that they put out. No, the Pacifica National Board knew nothing about this. It was never brought before them. That doesn't mean that certain individual board members didn't know about it. It's pretty obvious that several board members were part of a conspiracy with John Verneal and probably with your general manager, Quincy McCoy, and some other people long associated with the great KPFA away from Pacifica faction that you've had, germinating there for really something like 2 decades or so.
So what can people do? I know that they violated the union contract, the AFTRA-SAG contract. That's a union-busting tactic. There's a grievance filed by them. What do you want people to do who want to support WBAI?
Well, you can try to get motions passed on your local board. I know you're not going to be able to get anything passed on the KPFA local board because the breaker faction controls that board pretty well. But you can try to make the public TRO, but we're not stopping at the TRO. There will be further legal actions to come, and of course, the TRO is just a temporary restraining order. We are due in court on the 18th to argue the merits of the case. I'm pretty confident that we will prevail, since what they did was done without any authorization from the National Board, and in violation of the Pacifica bylaws, and in violation of lots of regulations along the way that I can't even begin to count them.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much, and as I said, we're here in solidarity with WBAI for the protection of free speech radio, and apparently that name, Free Speech Radio, has been removed at KPFA. It's no longer Free Speech Radio, but it's radio determined by the management, what the programming is, and that has to change.
One other thing, everybody should come out and support Tom Voorhees, who is being witch hunted for being a whistleblower and alerting the public to the plans of this faction.
And there's a meeting on the 26th, I believe, here to kick him off the Pacifica Board. They wanted to have a secret meeting to kick him off. They don't want people to know. In the middle of an election, they want to remove him. And why do they want to remove Tom Voorhees? You think it's because there's a close vote on the Pacifica National Board?
Absolutely. They want to, he's in the way of their getting a majority on the national board. Well, or at least that's how it appears at the moment. Some people can change their minds, but at the moment the board is deadlocked, and they figure that if they get rid of him, they can have their way. Even if they get that majority, their actions are still patently illegal because neither the Pacifica National Board or national management has any authority, according to our bylaws, to change the programming content of any of the stations. The only responsibility they have when it comes to programming is to make sure that FCC regulations and things like that are being complied with. The bylaws clearly spell out that the local management and local station board are the ones who drive the local programming, and we have an obligation to serve the needs of our community. That's all that is in the bylaws. So, even if they win a vote on the national board, they will still be out of compliance with the bylaws. I'm very optimistic, however, that will not happen. I think we can convince one or two or more directors who may at this point still be confused as to the destructive impact of what these people are doing, and I think it would just be important for everybody in the Bay Area to come out and support Tom Voorhees.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Alex.
And we support you here. We support our brothers and sisters at WBAI. Yes. We are with you, and we're going to build support for you and for KPFA to make sure that we have local community programming. We have a democratic control of our station and our network.
Stop the union busting.
Defend